All right. So, I want to talk about the origins, part of the origins within the people of why we have our women in large conduct themselves today the way they conduct themselves. One of the things that I want to say first and foremost, okay? And I see people do that. Let me attack the problem before it even arises. When I say something about women and accountability, women who do not agree with me will try to separate themselves from the problem as a whole of a people and try to make them and their anomaly the norm. So if I say, for an example, by nature, by nature, women are not accountable, the women who are accountable will try to separate themselves and say, I'm accountable. And I don't disagree that that woman is accountable, but to pretend that if we aligned up 100 women and an overwhelming majority of them would be accountable is ridiculous. So because of that, the problem always falls on a man. And I'm not saying this to be facetious, I'm saying this in truth. What we have today in society is we have women who want to skip the steps. They don't want to go through anything with a man to build something and become something. What they typically want to do is they want to wait at the finish line for a man to be a finished product and then for her to latch on to him. So again, I'm not saying that all women are like this, but I'm saying if I lined up 100 random women, 100 random women, how many of them would be accountable and how many of them would not be accountable? And I think everyone knows the answer to that. The overwhelming majority of women are not going to be accountable. Whether you believe in the story is true or whether you believe it allegorically. When Eve took from the tree of knowledge, was her response accountable or not? At that particular point, she wanted to point in the direction of Adam. If things fall apart in the home, how many women are stepping up front and saying, I'm responsible for us being in this situation? How many, if somebody breaks into the house, how many women, and keep in mind I'm talking about 100 women, how many of the 100 women are going to jump up and go see who's at the door first? How many women are going to stand in front of a man and take a bullet? In order to be a frontline person, you have to be accountable. You cannot be a frontline person and you're not accountable. Now, when we can accept that the majority of women are hardwired to not be accountable, to be allergic to being accountable, then we can go ahead and we can position ourselves for success. If somebody has a problem with accountability, that is the person who should not take on responsibility. Because when you take on responsibility, you are defaulted to accept accountability for how the responsibility turns out. We can look at children rearing. Statistics show what happens to the children when they're raised in a two-parent household. Statistics also show what happens to the children if they're raised in a household with a woman, by a woman. And we also have statistics that show what happens to the children when they're raised in a household by a man only. So when we start talking about mental, mental issues, when we start talking about prison, when we start talking about violence, when we start talking about shootings, when we start talking about homelessness, those statistics are overwhelmingly showing who is who. Go look it up. The men that are in prison, they come from an overwhelming majority of single mother households. That's not an opinion. This is data. This is facts. Just like when you go to the hospital, somebody comes in and asks you, when you're all settled in, what happened? And you tell them what happened. And then all of that is data that you're giving them. And then they go to the next room, and they go to the next room, and they do the same thing. And hospitals all across America. And then they find out the commonalities of people who tried to commit suicide. Well, they find out the commonalities of people who are on drugs. And they find out the commonalities. And what they do to find out the commonalities of anything is they go to the root. You will always find the problem. You will always find the solution to the problem, or the root of the problem you will always find at the root. You won't find it on the leaves. You won't find it on the flowers, and you won't find it on the branches. You will find it only in the root. And nothing could be more true than that, because this is why you have whitewashing. Why would people go to such lengths to hide the truth? Why would people go through so much length to hide the history? Why would people go through so much length to shoot off the noses of the faces that are on pyramids around the world? Why? That seems like a lot of effort. Why would you waste time on something that didn't have an effect on anything? Why would you make movies of historical figures by people playing those historical figures that look nothing like the historical figures? Like, why would Elizabeth Taylor play Cleopatra? Why? When we have in front of us the facts that certain people thrive in certain climates and certain people don't thrive in certain climates. But it all comes back to men. And men control and have always controlled the grid, the power grid, the infrastructure, the foundation in which we live in today. Computers, technology, things of that nature. Now, I'm not saying that women didn't contribute, because they did. But what I'm saying is men, bridges, roads, buildings, houses, the things that we see that are built up have been manipulated by the hands of a man. A man's hand is 17 times stronger than a woman's hand on average. Now, are there women that are in construction crews? Yes. But when you see them, aren't you shocked? It's like, what is she doing there? And she may be there because that's the best way to take care of her family. But given the choice, she doesn't want to be there. If a woman is given a choice to work or not to work, and we lined up 100 women, how many of them would chomp at the bit to work? Well, there'd be women that would want to work. There would be women that would pull their hair out of their head if they didn't work. But an overwhelming majority of women would say, I don't want to work. Even when you see women that go to college and get these degrees, they go to college and get their degrees to work. But when they go to get this work, they're working because they need to take care of themselves. But when they meet a man, let's just say in a traditional sense, they meet a man They want to get married, and they get married, and let's just say they follow the correct protocol, and let's just say a couple of years into the marriage, they're just they're just chilling. And then one day she gets pregnant, and now she has a child. If given a choice, what is she going to do? Is she going to drop that kid off at daycare and go back to work if given the choice? Or is she going to want to exercise her motherly instincts and want to be there for the child all the time? And there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm just saying is, if a woman is given a choice on what to do, she's not going to choose the hard thing to do. She's going to choose either the easier thing to do, or she's going to choose what's in her nature to do. That's why when you look at women in certain professions, you will see women who are working women, you will see them in the fields of hospitality. You will see women in the fields of teaching and education. You will see women in the field of service, or you will see women in the field of office work. You're not going to see women in the fields of being working, sanitation. You're not going to see women typically in fields where there are construction workers, roofing, cutting trees down, building bridges, building roads. These are not things that women are going to do. Working in the coal mines. Working with electricity and messing with light poles. I'm not saying you won't see women do that. I'm just saying that when you see a woman do that, it's going to be an anomaly. And I would bet you, out of 100 women that you randomly pick, if given a choice, none of them would choose any of those professions. Now, let a woman's back be against the wall, and she do that. Matter of fact, the women that are in those fields that I've named, do a little investigation into that woman, and you'll find out that she's doing it because she has to do it. And so, even when women didn't have rights like they have today, women have always been in a position, from a societal standpoint, where it was expected that a man was to take care of her. That's normal human nature. She stays home, she takes care of the house, the husband, the children, and in return, resources are to be provided for her so she can do such. And if those resources aren't provided, then she can't be in a situation to do such. Then she's got to go out there and she's got to work. So you have women that have fought for, and you've had men who have fought with women, with them, not against them. You've had men that have fought with women to see to it that these rights and benefits and privileges and everything was equal to men. And so we really have a relatively short time in history where women are on the same level as men, and in some cases surpassed it. Because women that operate in masculinity, society is okay with that. Because women aren't designed to handle masculinity. So society is okay with women handling masculinity because misplaced masculine energy, or masculine energy that's not handled correctly, can be toxic and it can be harmful to those around. And this is coming from not just a country, but a world that's so concerned about population control. So if I'm concerned about population control, I would want to create mechanisms that allow people to self sabotage. I wouldn't want to give a man who's trained with accuracy a gun because he would be able to accurately and pinpoint kill whomever he wanted to kill and avoid hurting whomever he didn't want to hurt. But if I gave somebody who did not know how to use a gun, and they had enemies, they had mental issues, and they had their gun, and they go out in public and they see in a public setting someone that they don't like, someone they think they don't like. Sometimes you hear about people getting killed because they were mistaken as the wrong person. So killing is such a huge thing. Who would not do the proper investigation to make sure that you're sure that you're sure that you're killing the right person? A person who is mentally not equipped to be able to handle a gun. So society wants people who are not equipped to have guns. It's just not politically correct to say so. So, any rate, this person who doesn't know how to aim a gun is given a gun. This person that has no business to have a gun has a gun. They see somebody they think they don't like, and they open fire in the crowd, shooting everyone except the person that they're aiming for. And now innocent lives are lost. And they run that image through the media propaganda, get everybody to have a soft heart, and then it helps their agenda of trying to get guns out of people's hands. Whereas people kill people, guns don't kill people. There are people who have guns and they hope to never use them. They have them in case they need them. They don't have them just to be showing it off and trying to hurt people. So that's the equivalent as an example of a woman who is operating in masculinity. She's not really designed to wield it. She's designed to wield femininity. So now, you also on the flip side, you have men. Well, we live in a society where you're a villain if you try to be a man. If you try to stand for what you believe in, if you try to work out and exercise, if you try to be strong and big, if you try to be a frontline person, and if you try to stand on your principles and beliefs and stand against things that go against righteousness, you're not applauded for that anymore. You're vilified for that. So now, once upon a time, women used to carry themselves with meekness, with chaste, and now it's on the opposite. Women are having more sex than men now. Women go after men more than men go after women now. And if a man goes after a woman and she doesn't want him to come after her, he could get in all kinds of trouble and go to jail. If a man used to mess with a woman, let's say a man used to mess with a woman and things didn't work out the way the woman wanted them to work out. It was water under the bridge. She didn't get what she wanted out of it. But if today a man messes with a woman and the woman has intentions of what she wants out of the relationship or what she wants from a man and she doesn't get it, she has nothing stopping her from going to a legal level and destroy and defame that man because she didn't get what she wanted. That's a fact. That wasn't happening before, unless it was an extreme case where the man blatantly did something like hurt, harm, or endangered her. I'll never forget. I used to go to Ohio State and play football at Ohio State. After me came a running back named Ezekiel Elliott. He had a girlfriend. Shortly before Ezekiel Elliott got drafted by the Cowboys, he broke up with his girlfriend. That's not what she wanted. So, what did she do? She proceeded to concoct a story and make up lies to get him in trouble. And relatively, she was successful because he lost, I think, about $4 million of his rookie contract. He had to miss some games, conduct detrimental to the team and NFL. And even though he proved that she was plotting against him with saved text messages, he still suffered because of accusations that were not proven. And what happened to that young lady? I won't even call her a lady for doing that. But what happened to that female? Did she go to jail for lying? No. The woman that later on came out and said Emmett Till did not whistle at her, did she suffer any consequences? No. So this is not in a society, this isn't even a racial component. This is a gender component where the woman doesn't have to be accountable. When a woman keeps her children away from the father, she lies, she breaks, uh, 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 she doesn't show up to court. Um, the rules and regulations that are established for her, she breaks those rules or whatever the case may be, and she somehow seems to not go to jail when she does those things, is lending itself to what society has always been for women. It allowed women to get away with being unaccountable. Take this for an example. If the courts came out and told you and confessed to you, child support is really illegal, and we want to do right by you guys, and we want to stop child support. So ladies, if you get pregnant by a guy and he doesn't want to take care of the child, you're on your own. How many women would change their course of action in terms of the recklessness that they have when they have sex with guys and allow themselves to get pregnant? Because a lot of women will tell you it takes two to tangle. It does. I didn't tell him to shoot up the club. You didn't. But a woman controls everything about her body all the way from the beginning to the end. A man relinquishes his control when he decides to enter a woman. Whatever he leaves in that woman, it is there for her to do whatever she wants to do with it. And I think they've changed the laws in some areas in some states where women can't get abortions anymore. And I get that. But what I'm saying is there are women out there who has peeped the game. And they've said, you mean to tell me that it's not good for me to get pregnant by one man? Because one man can only, it's not good for me to get pregnant with multiple kids by one man because I can only get so much money from him. But if I have 5 or 6 children by 5 or 6 men, then I can maximize my earning potential and I don't have to work. You telling me that women ain't running that game out there? Go look at the welfare system and see the women in the welfare system and see how many children they got and the ratio of children to dads. And I guarantee you, it's close to 1 to 1. It does a woman in this system no good to have 3 or 4 children by one man, because she can only get so much money. So if you have a woman that has 4 children by one man, she's going to get less money than a woman that has 4 children by 4 different men. It's rewarding women to divide. Yeah. It's rewarding women to do the divisional thing. And with division, it's easy to control and it's easy to conquer a people. So now, let's get back to the women today. If you don't believe me, go to some of these big cities where there seems to be men who have money. And you can correlate that to the behavior of the women in that city in general. A woman can be walking down the street and a nice all-around guy can see her and want to have conversation and dealings with her. He can be as gentleman as he wants to when he approaches. He can even be as handsome as he wants to be. But if there isn't anything about him that looks like money, it used to be you could dress real nice and that will fool girls into thinking you got money. Now, even if you go out there and you spend $1,000 on your shoes, $1,000 on your jeans, nobody can really tell. And they're not even falling for that anymore. You have to have strong symbols of money. So if you're out there walking, you can pretty much cancel Christmas on trying to get with that woman. 9 times out of 10. But there are women out there that if you approach them like a gentleman, they will give you the time of day. I'm not talking about those women. But if you lined up 100 women, with the majority of them, go through the normal steps to get to know a guy for the potential to find a lifetime mate, the overwhelming answer is no. Today's women do not even value men to the level of that type of partnership. The women today, overwhelmingly, only see men as sperm donors and sponsors. And I hate it here for y'all. I really do. Those women will turn their nose up at somebody who could potentially bless their lives from here until the end. But will run, sprint, and thirst all the way to a man that looked like he got something going for himself. Don't have to know his name. Don't have to know his background or anything. You walk up to a woman, you say something to a woman, and she looks at you like you're a stranger. Stranger danger. Hey, what's your name? My name is Lee. How are you? No, I'm not interested. Well, I didn't even tell you what I was interested in. I just wanted to introduce myself. You look like a nice young lady. Nah, I'm good. I got a boyfriend. So I can't even be, I can't even be friends with you? I can't even get to know you? Nah, I'm good. Look you up and down. Nah, I'm good. Just judging you on the spot. But they see you later. Or they see you at another time. And you got something going for yourself. You got some clout. You got some money. They find out that you're in a great profession. They see you driving a nice car. They see you coming from a nice neighborhood. And they hope and pray that you forgot that they wouldn't give you any attention and any motion. Now they're all of a sudden interested in you. Now all of a sudden they want to go out to dinner with you. Now all of a sudden they want to be your girlfriend. Don't know anything about you. They know the same thing about you that they knew when you tried to approach them. But because you got a car, because they saw you pull a whole bunch of money out of your pocket, because they saw you coming from a good neighborhood, because they saw you with some clout, they want to be down. And it's only because they see how it benefits them. These women today do not want to be a part of the growing struggle. And I'm not asking women in their 30s and their 40s to do this, but I'm talking about these young women in impressionable ages, such as in their 20s. Anything from 21. And the reason that I don't say 20, 19, or 18 is because when a woman becomes 18, she doesn't need to be getting married and she doesn't need to be out there. What she needs to do is she needs to take those next 2 or 3 years and she really needs to find out about herself as much as possible, what she can do and what she can't do. Once she knows what she can and can't do, then she needs to immediately take that prime time from 21 to 29 to try to find the best possible match that she needs. It doesn't matter if she doesn't need the man right then, but she's going to need that man when she gets in her older years. So she needs to build something with someone so that when those years come, that life can be easier for her. Because I'm going to tell you right now, especially with the way society is set up now, a woman doesn't need a man in her 20s not to take care of her. A woman doesn't need a man in her 30s not to take care of her. But what starts to happen in her 30s is black women typically get an extension period. Because a black woman can look good in her 30s and her 40s like she does in her 20s. So she can preserve that. She's not going to feel like she's 20 when she's 30 or 40, but she's going to look like it. And so that might buy her additional time to be looked at and get attention. She still can go on those yacht parties. She can still get into VIPs if she just relatively take care of herself. And then in her 20s, she don't have to exercise, she don't have to eat right, nothing. Everything just seems to stay together. She's got the metabolism of a bird. But it's almost like when she turns 30, it's like a switch goes off and it doesn't come easy anymore. Now she's starting to get the muffin top. Now she's starting to get the sag and the droop here. And now she's starting to lose her shape a little bit. She's just a little bit less attractive now. And I'm not talking about a black woman, I'm talking about women in general. Now, the difference with a black woman is a black woman, she'll lose certain things, but they'll be so subtle that the naked eye can't notice it. So she gets to extend that. And this is the problem for the black woman because it moves her, it allows her to be delusional longer. Because what happens is when she turns 30 years old, she starts to lose fertility. Not saying she can't have children, but what I'm saying is she becomes more at risk. And the foolery is when she's beautiful all the way through her 30s and even into her 40s. So she's still out there playing games, and now she ain't even fertile no more. And then the man that she really, really wants to be with ultimately really wants to have children, and she can't give him any children. Then she loses a great man to some younger woman because he wants to create legacy. He wants to create legacy, and he can't through your womb because your womb is shut. Now that's different when you're with a woman whose womb is shut and you already got something out of her womb. Then there's nothing to fear. There's no problem there. And for the women who are in situations where they've been together with a man for 8, 9, 10 years, and all of a sudden they don't want to be with a man anymore. They've been with a man 14, 15 years, and all of a sudden they don't want to be with a man anymore, whatever the case may be. They want to go back to the streets. Well, if they want to go back to the streets, they can go back to the streets, but here is the problem. Even though you can say to yourself, well, I don't want to have any more children, so I'm good. I already had my children. Yeah, but how is the man that you want to be with going to feel once he gets with you? Your children won't be an asset to him. Your children will be a liability to him. You're not going to let him be the father to the children that the father can be to the children. 9 times out of 10. That child is going to know that that man is not their father. And that child may be disrespectful to him, unlike that child would be for his biological father or her biological father. Now, next is when that man, it quite possibly could resent your children, resent having them around. You've seen instances like that. You've heard of people who have come into a woman's life and she has children and they have abused the children, molested the children, or sometimes hurt, harmed, endangered, or even killed the children. It's a girl I went to school with growing up, and she had I don't want to narrow it down, but she had children before she met this guy. And I don't know the nuances of the situation, but her child murdered her boyfriend. Now the child is in prison and the boyfriend's dead. It's safe to say that there was some tension. There was some tension, some authority struggle, some power struggle that resulted in the extreme act of that child of hers killing that boyfriend of hers. And it's hard when you have a child who you love dearly, take away something that you love or someone that you love dearly. You know how hard it is to forgive a situation that's hard to forgive? So what's she supposed to do? Resent her child? That's her child. So what's she supposed to do? Take the side of that man? That wasn't even her husband. But you can't take away from the fact that she really liked her husband, or she really liked that guy. So now she's torn because she can't hold so much resentment towards her son. But she can't let go of the fact that someone that she enjoyed and finally loved and spent time with is no longer here and gone. But we don't think about those things, do we? We just think, as women, it's just like, I already have my children. I already had mine. You know how hard it is. A man may or may not want to have children with you, but he wants to have the option. And men and women alike, they want two things in life. They want peace and they want options. That's it. A man or a woman wants to be able to have whatever it is that they want to have, and they want to have peace along the way. Now, I'm not saying that everybody that has options exercise all options, but they at least want the option. They want the option. So back to this girl, you ain't showing her that you got what she looking for, which is she want a man that's got money. She want a man that's going to pay her bills. She want a man that's going to give her money. She going to want a man that's going to elevate and catapult her. Now, women have always wanted this since the beginning of time. And it's nothing wrong with a woman wanting those things. But it's the matter in the way to go about it. See, these women today, they want you to give them those things right away. Your first date, they want you to take them shopping. Their first date, they want you to fly them out to a foreign country. Like these things, that the requests that they're making, they haven't even proven themselves qualifiable to be able to do these things. Yet, in their deluded thought process, that's what a man is supposed to do. But the education in that is, yes, a man is supposed to do that for his girl, for his wife. If a man is doing husband things for a woman that won't give him access to the juice box, if he's doing that already, what incentive does she have to do any work towards him to show that she's an asset to him and not a liability? So what? Man sees a beautiful looking woman and he goes into trick mode. Yeah, babe, you see the whip. Yeah. Yeah, I'm rolling like that. Yeah, I've been living like that. Yeah, girl, here go my chain. Here go my gold chain. Yeah, yeah. Look at the VVS. I mean, look. Diamonds on my wrist. Diamonds on my necklace. What's up? And see, the guy want attention from women. So he leads by being a simp, or he leads by being a trick. Now, the difference between a simp and a trick is this. A trick is materialistically flexing his power to get a woman. And a simp is euphorically and verbally saying the things that a woman wants to hear to get what he wants from a woman. So one's using materials and one's using lies. And sometimes a simp will lie about materials that they don't have. Yeah, you got that crazy looking car that everybody notices, but you're quiet about the fact that you're paying a car note on that car that when you pay it, you don't have really any money left to afford it. But you do that all in the name of being able to get with a girl initially and having some and getting some whoopee from her a few times. And because you don't have anything else going for you, you concentrate and focus on being the best you can be in the bedroom in hopes that you can make her toes curl and her eyes go so far in the back of her head it's a hard thing for her to walk away from. And some women get got like that because they can't understand why they are with this fine man who blow their back out but ain't got no mission, no action, and no motion going for them. But they'll keep coming back. Two reasons. One, a lot of women, they want to have sex, but they don't want to have a lot of body count. So you'll see some women, not even today anymore, because this don't even count anymore. But once upon a time, women, they loved having sex. They wanted to have a lot of sex, but they knew they couldn't have a whole lot of bodies. So they find a couple of bodies that they can have sex with all the time. That guy best friend, you think they're just kicking it? Man, he is also there to quietly satisfy a need that she has, scratch an itch that she has. And when she has that itch, she gets it scratched by him, but ain't nobody able to know about him. They don't walk down the street and hold hands and do all of that fancy stuff, but he ta-da-da-da-da up when they get alone. And he cool with it, because he can do his thing and he can get his rocks off. So now, I'm going to ask you, if a woman see that a man got all of this going for himself, it's easy to tell a man, I'm interested in you. You're not really interested in him. You're not really interested in him. What it is you interested in what he can do for you. And if that man goes off and he takes you out to an let me tell you something, fellas. Sometimes a woman will talk to you simply because she's hungry. She said to herself, I'm really hungry, but I don't want Burger King. I want Ruth Chris. And then right at the time that she's thinking about this, she see your tricking self. You ain't even shown her that you're a trick, but her mission is for you to be her trick. So she get a little better little eyes at you. She gets your attention. She shows you without saying it that she's interested, because they got game. And then all of a sudden you approach her because you feel a little confident to approach her. And whatever you say, she agree with. Whatever you say you like, she like that too. She will play that thing like a fiddle until she get what she wants out of you. And no, she might not say to herself, I just want dinner from him. There are some out there like that, but she might say, I want some dinner. Well, let's see how it goes. And if I like him, I'll keep him around. And she can like you and keep you around and not be interested in anything with you. So you take her out to dinner, you take her out to the, hey babe, what you want to eat? I really would love to eat me some Ruth Chris. Say less. You take her to Ruth Chris and you let her eat whatever she wants to eat. You might be able to stay in her good graces if you can make her laugh, but she don't really care about laughter. She care about the bag. Laughter is a byproduct. When laughter should be the main thing and the money should be a byproduct, the way society has set it up, it's taught these women to take a raw deal and make money the catalyst for everything. So you take her out to dinner, it's expensive. You take her out dancing, you take her out to movie. I don't care, wherever you take her out to, whatever the case may be. But what I'm saying is, you take her out to dinner, you take her out shopping, you let her go get a bag, you let her go get some shoes or whatever the case may be. And you want to show her, hey, baby, if you with me, I got it. And you think that's going to secure her, but she knows that she doesn't really want you. So she's going to pretend that what you're trying to flex is what she ultimately wants. So she can continue to get that. She want a bag from you this week. She wants shoes from you next week. She want that coat. She want that dress. She wants you to take her here. She wants you to take her there. I'm not saying that I'm better than the rest when I say this, but I never tricked off on a woman in my life. I've taken a woman to dinner. I remember this girl in North Carolina. Not gonna say her name either. This woman was bad. I took her to Chili's. I ain't take her nowhere else. And I certainly didn't ask my friends and family to give me money so I could take her to something that I couldn't afford that was out my league. Nope. But you know who I do that for though? Now I do that for my wife. Why? Because she vested. She vested. And I'm telling you, when you give these women all of these different types of things, fellas, you are creating you are creating the problem. Because if she can't get you to trick and simp for her, she just finds some suspecting fool that will. It's too many guys out there that will. And she has no hard feelings because she know how easy it is to get. She doesn't work. Not when she can mess with a dude and get him to pay 6 months of her rent. Now she messed with 4 dudes that got paid that done paid 6 months of her rent. Now she's got 2 years of rent paid up, and every dollar that she gets is a surplus from there. And she walking around like she Miss Independent. Now shout out to the women that's out there doing the thing. I'm not talking about them, but I'm talking about the women that's pretending like they're doing their thing, but they got sponsors doing it for them. As you know, sponsorship is a surplus. Sponsorship is a surplus. You know, you get your contract from your team, you're making good money from your team, but you're getting so much. There's a basketball player named Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum famously tells everyone that he hasn't spent $1 of his NBA checks, and he's made millions. He spends his money with his endorsement monies. You know why? Because the endorsements could be here today, gone tomorrow. So use the surplus and don't use your own. And that's what a lot of the women today are doing. Women go out there and they have these prestigious jobs, these prestigious careers. They make a lot of money, but they are not looking to spend any of their money. No, what they want is they want somebody. A woman could make $150,000 a year. She doesn't want a man to make $149,000. Why? Because she wants somebody that's equal. She don't even want someone that's equal. She wants somebody above her level. So if she makes $150,000 a year, she wants somebody that's making $200,000 or more. Why? Because she wants you to fund her basic cover, and she's going to take her money and she's going to use it for whatever she wants. So when a woman is flexing that she's got the bag, it ain't really a flex for you. It ain't really beneficial to you as a man unless she giving you access to that bag. Now, how many women are going out there and working their jobs or making their money and bringing all of it back to the table? Every penny. I'll wait. She ain't bringing all of her money back to the table. She's riding that notion that men are supposed to take care and be providers and protectors. And I do think that men are supposed to be providers and protectors. But I think that's really overused and it's bull crap. If you have a particular skill as a woman, you should bring it back to the table. Because you expect your man to bring that to the table. And whether he makes more money than you, you make more money than him, it's your season where you're doing better. It's his season where he's doing better. Life's going to give you ups and downs. But if she is sitting there and not trying to either bring what she has made to the table, or she's not trying to look for ways to bring something to the table. It's not about how much you bring to the table. It's about what you do with what you get. If your role is not to make money, that's fine. Doesn't mean you don't ever have to make money. Use that opportunity where you're propped up to be able to create something and take risks that you normally couldn't take. So that if you strike it somewhere, you can elevate and catapult your family to new heights. I promise you'll feel better about yourself. If you save your man from a dead end position. Because men will risk their lives for their wife and children. You mean to tell me you found one who will risk his life for you? Where you have people who are dating women that when trouble breaks, they will throw a woman in the middle of the fire and take off running. And you actually found one who will jump in front of the fire, jump in front of the bullet, and you're just gonna sit back and just do nothing? You ain't gonna try to find nothing to do. You ain't gonna be creative. It's 24 hours in a day, and you don't even have the decency to try to find something. Even if you have a man that makes $200,000 and you don't make any money, you mean to tell me that you can't take it upon yourself in the next 30 days to try to make $200 or $300? You think it's nothing, but let's do the math on it, shall we? You meet a man, you with a man, he takes care of everything. And you go online and you try to find little things to do. And let's just say on a monthly basis, you make about $500. And then you do that. In the next 5 years, you'd have made $30,000. Now your man falls on tough times. He lost his job. The market went down in his business. He needs some time to be able to recover. But if y'all don't have anything, because everything that you make, everything that he makes, y'all find a way to spend it up. Guess what you're gonna be in? Guess what you're gonna be real quick. You're gonna be just like the one check away from being broke people, because that's what you are. But if you just if you were just taking $500 a month and making that, let's just say you made $800, you spent $3, and then you took $5 and you put that away. You got, in 5 years, you got $30,000. Now I know that might not sound like a lot, but maybe you might be able to pay some rent or some mortgage or some bills for the next year or two. Give your man a chance to recover, or give you guys a chance to work something out. Or I got one even better. Maybe he doesn't fall on hard times because he's on his square and he has a good run. You've got some money that you can contribute to what he's doing to amplify what he has. See, women amplify their man, and the men enhance their women. Now, how do women amplify their man? If a man can go out there and get it, by her being a helpmate, it's going to give him amplification of what he can do, because she's giving him something to work with. Whether it's money, whether it's a skill set that she has. Maybe she has secretarial skills. He doesn't have a secretary in his business, but because she is good at secretarial work, she helps him. Maybe it's accounting. Maybe he doesn't know how to handle money, but she knows how to handle money. So now, because she is in the picture, they handle money really well and they're making better decisions. It can be a litany of things. Maybe she knows how to put together a website. And in this day and age, having a website and driving traffic to the website can create a ton of business. And she sits down, she creates a website that he doesn't have to pay for. And she is directly going to benefit from that, because she created a website for him, and then he went out there and he made 10 times more money, and then he's coming home and he's sharing the sugar, and now she has access to even more money. It's like I tried to explain to my daughter one day. My daughter, who's a little kid, she's only 7 years old. Mama gave her some money. When her mother gave her some money, that money was burning a hole in her pocket. All she thought about is the new toy that she could get. Here's the problem. She didn't consider how much the toy cost. She wanted the toy. But the money that she had wasn't quite enough to get the toy. So I told her, I took it was a teaching opportunity. I told her, I said, listen, that toy that you're trying to get, you have hundreds of them at home that look like that. Why don't you play with the ones that you have at home? And why don't you let me take that money for you? And why don't you let me invest it for you? She wanted no parts of that. She was like, because women typically think with their feelings, and when you think with your feelings, you're thinking about today. You're not thinking about tomorrow. And it's okay to think about today, but you need to that's why men and women are interdependent upon each other, because a woman typically thinks about today and a man typically thinks about tomorrow, and you need to think about both of them. So when a man is left to raise his children, that's why the statistics are in favor of. That's why the statistics for a single father are very similar to the statistics for a two-parent household. And that's why a single mother statistically ain't on the level of a single father or a two-parent household. Don't be mad at me. The facts are the facts, and the facts don't care. Because women are typically wired to think about things and think with their feelings. Men typically are not wired to do that. Now I know you're probably saying, "Yeah, I know some men that do that." Yeah, of course we know men that do that. We also know women that don't think with their feelings. See, there's astrology, there's biology, and then there is experiences that make you make choices. Watch this. Typically, when you're dealing with astrology, you have more. It's a female dominated interest. You don't really hear about Taurus rising and you know Venus. What you don't typically hear that with men. Men are more interested in the biology of things. Now, biology is nature. Nature deals with reality, and astrology doesn't necessarily deal with reality because you can go up to a woman and she could say to you, "What's your sign?" And you can say, "I'm a Gemini," and she'd be like, "You toxic." Why? So you're telling me that every Gemini on this earth is toxic? So wait, you're telling me that there are 12 signs and there are only 12 personalities. Me and my wife are the same sign and we're totally different. So that debunks that. And I met different Sagittaries in my life that are totally different. Newsflash: astrology, the idea of astrology is wonderful, but astrology doesn't depict biology. Now, biology is what it is. And because we live in a physical world, there's physical things to this world. If we're delusional about what's physically here, we're already missing the boat. For instance, a boy unhinged, or I shouldn't say unhinged, a boy who has no experiences, sees a beautiful woman who has a small waist, big hips, big butt, big chest, and facial symmetry. That's beautiful. That's ideal and well together. Nobody has to tell him that he's attracted to that he likes what he sees. Biologically, he's designed to like that. Now, I'm not saying that a man isn't that a man doesn't like a woman who is opposite shape of that. Let's say a more rounder woman. Uh, let's just call it what it is: a woman who's fat. I'm not saying that there aren't men out there that are attracted to fat women. I'm just saying that experiences in their lives have shaped the choices that they make. Now, I didn't originate that, but it's factual. How do you explain a woman who wants a man when they have intercourse to spit on her, slap her, choke her, and say disrespectful things to her while performing intercourse with her? And if she doesn't get that, she's turned off and she loses interest. What do you call that? You call that normal? Let me make it even easier on you. Right after you finish performing intercourse with her, she then wants you to hold her, make her feel safe, make her feel comfortable, make her feel loved, and reassure her. What kind of biology, even astrology, is that? But you know what it is? It's her experiences that have made her take liking and made the choices that led her there. Take a woman who grew up in a household with her mom and her dad, didn't have a traumatic life experiences, and was protected by her father. What is the likelihood, if she wasn't exposed to that stuff that I just described, that she's going to naturally want to do that, want to be in that situation? It's probably not likely. Typically, she's going to want to be treated right. Typically, she's going to want you to be gentle with her. Typically, she's going to want to feel safe with you. Typically, she will find it disrespectful that you're spitting on her. Typically, she'll find it very alarming if you're choking her. She might think you're trying to kill her from that experience. It could be a traumatic experience. So it's foolish to think that you're with a girl that likes that type of activity, and then you go to another girl and you're shocked that she think you crazy for doing those things to her. And if I lined up 100 women, how many of them would like to be spit on, slapped, beaten, choked, and disrespected? You don't even have to take it sexually. You have some women who'll be in a relationship with a guy and run her mouth, and that guy will say, shut the bloop bloop up and sit the bloop bloop down. And she'll bite her nail. She'll be intrigued. Her juice box will get wet. And now she wants to go have intercourse. So disrespect makes you want to do that? Now, I'm not talking to women who like men to take charge and her man respectfully say, babe, just pipe down. I got things under control. See? You see the difference? But you would rather a man show you that he is in control by being disrespectful and dishonorable to you. And listen, I'm not making fun of the women that like those things. I'm just making a point that the women that do like those things and choose those paths because of experience that they had. So astrology, biology, men typically gravitates towards biology, and women typically gravitates towards astrology. But astrology and biology is trumped by experiences to help you make choices. Experience is the most influential thing in helping you make choices. Not saying astrology and biology don't, but that's more of a discipline to stay the path. It's not discipline to get off the path. These women today want to skip steps. You say to a woman today that's institutionalized by society, you say, hey, listen, why don't we exchange numbers? And let's say you lay out the table of contents for her. Why don't we exchange phone numbers? Let's talk sometimes. Then let's go out on a date, or then we can go to maybe we can go to the park. We can go for a walk. We can talk to get to know each other, explore, and then find out more and more about each other. Then at that point, we can go out on a date. Then when we go out on a date, we can go somewhere, get us some food, enjoy each other's company, continue to get to know each other and things like that. And these women today, if you're lucky, want to skip all of that other stuff that I said, but they'll be ready to start at the date phase. First day, want to go out on a date. Wherein the reality is, you got to get to know a woman well enough for her to qualify to go on a date. But y'all missed that mark, especially the newest generation that's here, because this is all they've seen. So we're on our first. We just met. You don't know my last name, but you want me to take you shopping, and you want me to blow a bag on you. And the reverse psychology that women have on men is, you got it. And as a prideful man, the last thing you want her to think is you don't got it. You might not even have it, but you don't want her to know you don't have it. So what you'll do is you'll spend money that you really don't have, that's for something else, to make an impression upon her, like it's going to get any easier. I promise you, you can't take a woman and start her here and then ever come lower than here. You come down here, you take her to Ruth Chris on the first date, all your other dates got to be Ruth Chris and above. And listen, if you keep taking her to Ruth Chris, she's going to get tired of Ruth Chris and she's going to say she wants something else. But if you say, oh, okay, well, let's go grab something from Chipotle. What? No, I'm not going to Chipotle. Oh, okay, well, why don't we go to Cheesecake Factory? I'm not going to Cheesecake Factory. No, she's going to name something that's above that. Now, I'm not saying that on your first date that you take her to Chipotle. You shouldn't even be dating a woman unless you're married to her, to be real. And women aren't going to want to hear that. But why do I say men are not supposed to date women they're not married to? Because dating requires you to invest. It's a lopsided investment. So what typically happens on a date? Who pays? The man? Right. So if you start out and you're putting a financial investment into getting to know somebody and they don't put a financial investment in getting to know you, what are they losing? They'll say, well, I'm giving you my time. But at the same time, fellas, when you are giving your money to getting to know a woman, you're also giving the same equal amount of time. I'd even say you're giving more time, because the time that it takes you to go pick her up from her house and take her to the date and take her home and drive back home, the drive there and back caused you to put more time in it than she did. You really, really want to date. You really want to go out to the movies. You really want to go out to dinner. You really want to go out and do those things. And you don't have a commitment from her. She should pay for hers and you should pay for yours. And a lot of you women are turned off by that. And I don't care, because if I go out on a date with you and I'm not married to you and I don't have any covenant or commitment with you, and you go out on a date with me and both of us are either paying for our own meals, or we're agreeing that each time that we go out on a date we take turns, then you're showing me that you're equally as invested in getting to know and get close to me as I am to you. And isn't that what we really, really want? Do we want to be on these lopsided affairs where we're catching the short end of the stick, or do we want to make it beneficial? Because I'm going to tell you something right now. Even when you get married and you take it to the top end of the extreme in terms of the epitome of a relationship, You still have to show and prove that you're both vested. What did I say earlier about money? If she makes money and you make money, no matter who makes more money, both of y'all bring that to the table. Not what's mine is yours and what's yours is yours. No, that's not a team. That's a sponsorship. Do you want to be in a relationship or do you want to be in a sponsorship? Now, I can think of how a sponsorship can be beneficial, but there needs to be clarity on it being a sponsorship. So I could see, in a sense, where a woman is benefiting from the sponsorship. Clearly, that's what happens for it. Okay? But a man can benefit from a sponsorship if he understands that it's a sponsorship and he's clear what he's trying to get out of the sponsorship. Maybe him on her arms may elevate him to go to another level. It's not what I recommend, but if he can find a means of making his life beneficial by her being on his arms, albeit it could be for a season, as long as their communication and understanding both parties know that's what it is, then that's what it is. I don't agree with that, but I can respect it if both parties know that that's what's going on. Just like if a woman is trying to be on her grind. Listen, this isn't I'm not thinking traditional concepts, but I'm trying to give you real scenarios that folks think it's taboo to talk about. But here is an example right here. Let's say that there's a situation right here where there's a girl who she wants to focus on some things in her life. And she feels like being in a full-fledged relationship is going to derail her from accomplishing A, B, and C. Okay? So she has a friend, someone she knows, someone she trusts, and likewise. And she sits down with this friend and she says, hey, listen, I really don't want to be in a relationship right now. But there are certain aspects of a relationship that I need. One being sex. I don't feel comfortable going out there and having sex with random people. Could I have sex with you? Whenever I have a need to have sex, I would love to be able to call you and you come through or I come through and we take care of that. Not ideal. But this is real life we're dealing with, right? So we're going to deal with real life issues. And she says to him, listen, I don't want to mess with you. What do you feel? And he says, I feel the same way too. I mean, I like that aspect of the relationship, but I don't have time to do the other things in a relationship. And I think it's cool. I can do that with you. I can be friends. And she might say, okay, but look, I'm trusting you with my body. So I'm telling you right now, if we're going to do something like this, I want exclusivity. I don't want you to be out there spreading yourself thin. He may say, well, I can't guarantee that you're the only girl that I'm going to sleep with. And she can say, okay, well, can you promise me that you put on a condom when you mess with other girls? I don't want to mess with other guys because I don't want to be running around here with high body count. And that could be the agreement. See, y'all try to make your relationship fit the status quo. But you're not the status quo, and the partner you're engaging with is not the status quo. You need to find out what works for you, and it's nobody else's business. That's between you and what you're involved in and who you're involved with. But a relationship, relate, is both people getting what they need to get out of the relationship, whether it's a temporary or it's a permanent relationship. I've said this before. When you sign a contract in sports, it's not for life. Typically, it's for a set period of years. The agreement is for both parties to honor what they say they're going to honor in the contract. Usually, the athlete performs, and usually the organization secures the money for what the contract says, and there is dependability that there's not going to be a trade or something. There are athletes who have no trade clauses in their contract. Why do they have this? Gives them the confidence to say, okay, I can feel safe about settling where I am. I can get a I can buy a home now. Some guys that know they're journeymen around the league, they don't buy homes. They done play for 10 teams. You think they got 10 homes? And if they do, it better be a home that they can sell quickly because it can be a problem. You know, Michael Jordan has a home in Chicago that's been on the market for forever. And that thing still ain't sold. And if you look at the tour of the house is dynamic. It's a beautiful house. But it's so customized that it's hard to sell. So nobody's going to customize their life in a setting that they're not promised to be in. If I know I'm going to only be in this particular area for a certain period of time, I'm not doing the things that's going to tie me down there because when I leave, it's going to be harder to leave. Sorry, let me adjust this. Um, so, skipping steps. The problem with skipping steps is it lacks loyalty. If a man has a woman who has gone through the process with him, the loyalty and the commitment is going to be less questionable. Ladies, you will have a leg to stand up on if you have that tenureship or at least the process. Now, I understand you can't meet a man when he's at his bottom and be with him when you rise all the way to the top. But if you happen to meet a man who has already established himself as a provider and a protector, a bag getter, and a bag securer, here's what you can do. Don't skip the steps to get to know him. There is certain times to talk about certain things. If you start talking about certain things early on, he's going to be turned off. And here is the thing about how a woman versus a man curb or diss or exploit. Women do it openly. Men do it covertly. When a woman wants to dog a man and play a man, it's in her nature to do it publicly, to try to embarrass that man and hurt his pride and his ego. When a man wants to diss a woman, he doesn't do it publicly. No, what he'll do is he will quietly and covertly say to himself, I don't want anything serious with her, but I'm not going to tell her that. So when you come into the situation and you're skipping steps, you don't want to get to know a man, you don't want your first outing to be at the park or the beach or something where it can illustrate equal investment. A man with any kind of mind, and I know you women out there think that men are stupid, but the reality is you don't want to be with a stupid man. You want to be with a man not only is smart, you want a man to be smarter than you. And for some of you ladies out, some of you women out there, that's not asking for much. But you want a man to be stronger than you, bigger than you, better than you, this, that, and the other, whatever the case may be. You're looking for your superior. So when you treat a man like he ain't nothing, in his head, he already knows you ain't about nothing. But he will lie to you to get what he wants from you. And see, men don't really want much from a woman. Men want sex. All of that other extra stuff that a man gives you is because the vibe has been created and he wants to give you that. No man wants to take a woman shopping and spend all of his money. But for the woman that creates the vibe, it will motivate him to do that. Women have been motivating man since the dawn of man. A man that goes out there and he tricks off for a woman the right way from investment by her is a man that's not a trick at all. It's not tricking for me to go and buy my wife this or go and buy my wife that. If I want to buy her if I want to buy her a car, if I want to buy her a house, if I want to buy her some jewelry, if I want to buy her some clothes, and I want to do it at an extensive level, it is not tricking or simping for me to do it because she's vested. And ladies, you want a man to be able to trick off on you, you want to be able to have nice clothes and a lifestyle or whatever the case may be, you can have that if you're vested. But you don't have to be vested because there's too many men out there that'll give it to you when you ain't vested. And those men are the simps and those men are the tricks. And you guys don't have any long-term dealings with these simps and tricks. You're utilizing them to get you to another launch point. That man gives you a lot of money and he pays your rent. There are women out there who have luxury apartments that they can't afford or don't want to afford. Some women, their flex is, I can afford this apartment, but what they're not telling you is, I would never do this for myself. When you see a single woman and she's shopping at Target for her clothes, but when she gets with a guy, she will never shop at Target for her clothes. That's because it's much easier to spend someone else's money than it is to spend your money. But it's hard to spend your man's money when you're equally vested in the same way he is. See, that's when you're going to start saying, well, wait a minute. I'd love to be able to go to Dior, but we're trying to get that house. You know, we're trying to flip these properties. We're trying to do this. We're trying to do that. See, a woman that's vested has been privied to see the big picture. And I'm not saying that she's a big picture oriented person, but she allows herself to get out of her way so she has the opportunity to see the big picture. And if the big picture is ultimately what she wants, and she knows that there's going to be some time and sacrifice that she's going to have to do, then she will still do it because she knows it's worth the journey. Nobody says that you have to like the process. But if you can keep your eye on the prize, you're not going to pay any mind to the ills of the process, and you're going to understand that those are growing pains to get you where you ultimately want to be. I've been around and seen women who know they taking their man's last, and it don't even matter to them because they can't see past their feelings, and their feelings are what they're focused on today. They're not focused on tomorrow. They're focused on today, and doubly, they're focused on themselves. They're not focused on him. She knows very well that taking that money from that man is going to hurt him, and she still does it. So she's with that guy and rides him as long as she can into the dirt. Once she rides him into the dirt, she leaves him there. She makes an excuse. She might even hit you with the line, it's not you, it's me. I have some more growth that I need to do. I need some time away. You look up a couple of days later, she had dinner with another dude. Because simps, and it's a lot of simps and it's a lot of tricks, they make it possible for them to do that. Just like in third world countries, women don't have the privileges of the first world country women. So it's certain things they don't even get a chance to entertain. But in a first world country that's created by men, we give them the luxury to be able to entertain these things. That's why the reputation of women in America and in Europe around the world is bad. Other women around the world look down on our women. And for good reason. But women aren't the sole source of the reason that this happened in society. Society and simps and tricks have made it possible for our women to be the way that they are. If the simps and the tricks would rise up and take their rightful place as men, women wouldn't have the ability to be able to do the things that they're doing, to take advantage of men for sponsorships. If men stop giving women sponsorships until they deserve it, it would end everything. Just like feminism. Feminism was made possible by men. The support of men. Without the support of men, feminism would go in the trash. Let's just say right now, if we had a war, okay, and everything broke down. If we had a war right now, feminism would disappear like smoke in the air. Poof, it would be gone. Why? Because feminism is a luxury. It's a cancerous luxury that women have. That's made possible by the luxuries available to them. Feminism isn't possible in third world countries. And feminism isn't earned, feminism is an inheritance. And you know about them trust fund babies. You know how they act. They walk around and they disrespect people that are helping them. They walk around and disrespect people that are serving them. They feel a sense of entitlement. You know, that's feminism. And really, to a degree, in the history of the world, being a woman and operating in femininity, that is not something that they earn, that's something that they inherit. A woman grows into the body that she grows into without her trying to grow into the body that she grows into. She inherits that. Good genetics. The way that a woman grows. That's an inheritance. And so we created an environment where what a woman inherits as value, that's intrinsic, those things are actually trust fundable. They didn't earn that. A woman that walks around and has a dynamic body, she didn't earn it. She was given. A woman that has a gorgeous face, she didn't earn that. She inherited it. And it allows her luxuries that other people have to work hard for. You got to pay to get in the club. But if you're beautiful and you got a body, you're getting in the club for free. You got to pay for your section for VIP. And you got to pay for them bottles that's coming. When you're a woman, you don't pay for the bottles. You don't pay for VIP. They move you in front of the line and they move you right to VIP. You don't pay for the yachts, the yacht parties that you go on, the trips to Dubai, Caribbeans, Mexico, or abroad. You don't pay for that. Them good looks. And answering your DMs get you there. How hard is that? I'm not jealous. I accept it. It's biology. Women aren't designed to earn anything. They're designed to attract it. Men are designed to earn, not designed. And once men earn, that is the only way they attract it. If a man goes out there and he's nothing, he ain't getting nothing. And society gonna tell him he ain't nothing. But if some nerd guy figures out and cracks the code to the matrix, and he's at home and he's figured out how to make a bunch of money, and he goes out there and he rewards himself with symbols of wealth like cars and houses, then and only then will he attract women to himself. He ain't got to have no game, nothing. If he goes and earns his value, see, your value is what's going to attract the things that you need and want to you. But a man has to go and earn that value. A woman doesn't have to earn that value. Going out there and getting accomplished with degrees, certifications, and things of that nature, females, that does not help you earn anything. It actually does the opposite. It makes you less tolerant moving up to that level. And it's certain things that you won't even look at. You're gonna be like, I don't look at. He only makes $250,000 a year. When in actuality, that's how it hurts you, because the men you want, because of the level that you elevated yourself to, like you were a man. And I'm not saying women shouldn't elevate themselves. I'm just telling you that you're already elevated. You just have to use it responsibly. Don't sell yourself out. Don't let dudes run miles up on you. All you got to do is just protect and preserve what you've inherited. Case in point, your dad passed away and he leaves you $30 million. Congratulations. You got $30 million and you didn't have to lift a finger for it. You were born into it. But if you're irresponsible with $30 million, it could be problematic on many levels. But if you just know how to, at minimum, maintain $30 million, you can live for the rest of your life and you can pass it on. And it ain't much you got to do. But go out there and do foolish things with $30 million, and you're going to quickly find out the more you mess around. Okay? So, what I'm basically saying to you is, a woman, she has the power already intrinsically inside of her. Men don't have that. Listen, I'm not a bad looking guy. Some of you may find me attractive, and some of you, I might not be your type. That's cool. But what I'm saying is, I don't have a problem when I go out in public, a woman every now and then telling me that I'm a handsome guy. I don't have a problem with that. But that's not going to ever get me anything for real. Like if I was a woman. See, a woman goes out there and she's beautiful. She doesn't have to have anything going for herself in her beauty. When I say anything going, let me scale back. She doesn't have to do anything else but to be beautiful, and it helps if she's a good person. So if a woman is a good person and she has a good character and she is beautiful, that's all she needs to do. And that is preserving. That's not even that's what I said about that 30 million. It's preserving it. A beautiful woman can sit to the right of a man who goes out there, and if she focuses and concentrates on magnifying him, she enhances herself. So if a man goes out there and she helps him become a multimillionaire, when he passes away, it's hers. Because without her, he doesn't need to go out there and become a millionaire. Without a woman, a man doesn't need to go and get a fancy house. Without a woman, he doesn't need to go and get fancy furniture. Without a woman, a man doesn't need to do a lot of things except eat, drink, and live. Women motivate without even saying a word. The essence of a woman motivates a man to become better. I remember that because I once had a woman who motivated me to do nothing because of the filth and the disgust of her character. And she was a good looking woman. Good looks will get you in. Good looks ain't gonna hold you on. Or good looks ain't gonna hold you in the door. Keep you in the game. But my wife motivates me to do and be everything that I do and everything that I be. And guess what? I don't care about none of the stuff that we acquire from what I've accomplished. It's hers. I don't want, because if I wasn't with her, I wouldn't want any, truthfully, I wouldn't want any of these things that I have here because they would remind me of what we shared together. I don't want that stuff. I could go and live in a one-bedroom apartment for the rest of my life if I was going to be alone. It wouldn't bother me none. Got a kitchen? Make my food. Got a bed? Lay down comfortable. Wouldn't even get curtains. Wouldn't even be getting tables. Go to the local store, get a fold-out table and fold-out chair. Talking about a furniture, talking about a couch, futon. And I could be stinking rich, and wouldn't even care about being stinking rich. Long as I had what I needed, I'd be good. But it's women that motivate us to do more. Motivate us to do more than that, and that's and so, ladies, what I'm trying to say here is this, and this is a real lesson, and we need to get back to this, ladies. Being that you want a certain type of lifestyle, that's okay. I'm not trying to tell you or make you feel bad for wanting a certain type of lifestyle, but it's a time and a place to get those things. You don't get shopping trips, you don't get flew out, you don't get all of these different types of things. If that's what you want to get, look for the simps and look for the tricks. Fellas, don't be simps and tricks. Speak against simps and tricks. Disassociate yourself with simps and tricks. And I know it's going to be hard in this society, because society promote men to be simps and tricks for these women, because moving women ahead of men and degrading, if you will, if that's, yeah, to degrade a man from being a man, it allows the powers to be to deal with women for negotiation purposes instead of men. And women, because of being hardwired to think with their feelings, they are the ones that you prefer to negotiate with, because those are the ones that are easier to sell. In Sales 101, they teach you, and I'm in sales. In Sales 101, they teach you, when you're sitting at the table with a couple, look the woman in the eyes, not the man. Every now and then you can look over at the man to make him feel included and involved, but that's really all you're supposed to do. You're supposed to convince the woman of the sale, because if you can convince the woman of the sale, then she will do the rest of the work for you. She will be a cheerleader for you. That means if you don't close the deal at the table, then she will be the one in her husband's ear persuading her. And you know what 9 times out of 10 is going to happen? She's going to win him over. And when the transaction happens, he might have a unhappy face, but he would rather his wife be happy, because he know if his wife is unhappy, it's going to affect his life. That's how society has it. Now, there are some men that they're not going to care. They're going to be real men. They're going to say, no, we're not doing that. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm not going to get down with that. And his wife might be upset and his wife might be mad, but that's the correct approach if he's thinking about, this is not going to be the best interest for my family long term. Remember, men are hardwired to think long term. Women are hardwired to think short term. Men filter their thoughts through their logic. Women filter their thoughts through their feelings. And really, I want to take that back and say, women don't filter their thoughts. Not hardwired. They're not hardwired to filter their thoughts. They feel it. They go with it. And there's a time and a place for that. But usually, the tougher the decisions are, the less of that you want to have, and the more of the logic that you want to have. You want to be as logical as you can about critical decisions. Listen, the president has access to the red button. You want the president to be stable as possible in hostile situations, right? Because if he decides to hit the nuclear button, that's going to change the trajectory of forever. We're not the only country with nuclear weapons. If a country sees nuclear weapons coming towards them, they're not going to sit back. They're going to launch what they have. They're going to counter it. So really and truthfully, nuclear weapons are not really designed, shouldn't really be designed to use. They're designed to stabilize. If a man owns guns, he's not, if he's in his right mind, he's not owning guns to shoot people. He's owning guns to neutralize and stabilize the situation so nobody has to shoot people. Think about that. When the there was once a shooting at a I'm not on there's once a shooting at a Walmart, right? And the shooter was shooting at Walmart. Why? Because you're not supposed to bring guns to Walmart. So the shooter would never go somewhere where he had opposition. He'd think more carefully about what he's going to do. But if the shooter that goes into the school and shoot up kids, they go to the school to shoot up kids because they're cowards, because they know that they don't have any opposition. This is what the powers that be want. They want little to no opposition so that they can further their plans and agenda. And men stand in the way of the agenda of the elites because men will stand on principles. See, real men live for two reasons. They either live for long term, and I got this from T.I., shout out to T.I. Men live long, want to live long because of their family and legacy, or they find a cause to die for. Ain't nothing in between with a real man. And a real man, he doesn't prioritize death. He prioritizes what he stands for. If that means a short show, then that means a short show. If that means longevity, so be it. You come in a real man's house and try to execute his family. He's not thinking about preserving his life. He's thinking about protecting his family. And if that means him losing his life, he would rather lose his life to save his family than he would to lose his family to save himself. Only a coward thinks like that. I won't even say a coward, a selfish person. Because you could be, because a man could be a scaredy cat, but he loves his wife and his children. He will not be thinking about his life in the heat of that moment. And he could be scared of everything. He could be finicky as he wanted to be. I remember having a dog. One time I got robbed. Guys walked me in the house. And I had a golden retriever, a girl, golden retriever. Beautiful, soft, gentle. Everybody loved my golden retriever. I never seen such ferocity in my dog. I never seen such fearlessness in my dog. And my dog would tuck her tail and run from everything. But you were messing with someone that she completely loved. And she totally disregarded her life. No, nothing happened to my dog. And yes, my dog saved my life. But she had no regard for her own life because she loved me so much, she didn't want to experience life without me. So you don't have to be a trained pit bull to want to protect your family. All you got to do is be a man and love your family. And your instincts are going to take over in those times. So even if you're a man and you're wondering what you would be like, man, just focus and concentrate on loving your family. If you overwhelmingly love your family, you will always lay it on the line for them. And if you're short in that, when those critical moments come, you're going to choose yourself over your family. Listen, the way that it's supposed to be is my wife and my children are supposed to bury me. I'm not supposed to bury them. So I fight every day to make sure that that plays itself out. Now, do I want to grow old with my family and die in an old age? I sure do. But I'm not so sure if I want it to be at the same time. As a matter of fact, I know I'm not sure that I want. I know I'm sure that I don't want it to be at the same time. I want to go first. But now I want to grow. I want to go old. Look, I'm 41. My oldest is 10. My youngest is 5. So if I get into a ripe old age of whatever that number is, and my children are well grown and they've had children, grandchildren, all that other stuff like that, and husbands, stuff like that, then that's cool. That's cool. But it ain't cool to do some stupid stuff and put yourself in a situation where you lose it. Unless you're doing it for honor. So salute to the men that have lost their lives for honor. You go off to war and you die, that is perceived honorable. Okay. I get that. I ain't gonna get into the technicalities of that, but I'm saying just as a premise of an example, I get that. But to die for something stupid, that ain't the business. That ain't the word. And don't confuse honor with stupidity. Some guy was talking junk to you, and you're gonna try to stand up to him, and you end up getting murdered because you stood up to them. You was thinking about your little feelings, and you weren't thinking with logic. Man, some battles you don't even have no business fighting. Yeah, I knew you wouldn't come over here. You a little punk. You better let that go. You better let that go. You better live for another day. That's different. Slave revolt. You know that your life is going to be putrid, and you don't want to live like that, and you want to go all out. Excuse me, bruh, go all out. That's honorable. What's his name? Um, Nat Turner. The story. That's honorable. Conditions were terrible. It wasn't going to get any better. It's going to get worse. I don't want to live in worst. I don't want to live in worse. They talk about all of this stuff about this disease, that disease, these conditions, that condition, this climate, that climate. You know what my feelings are about that? If my natural body can't thrive and survive on this earth, it's time to go. And I'm not asking for a death sentence, but if it's too inhabitable to live here, I don't want to be here. So if the powers that be want to continue to inject things into the ground, inject things into the air, and anywhere in between to try to hurt mankind, and it gets to such a point that I can't survive here, I am not taking some artificial anything to be able to stay in hell. It's just time to go. So I am going to live out my life under my terms the best as I can possible. And as men, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to live for our ideals. And my job is not to tell you what your ideals should be. Your job isn't to tell me what my ideals should be. But it is our job individually to respect each other's wishes of ideals, as long as it doesn't hurt, harm, or endanger anyone else. So, trying to tell you, fellas, you control how things are going. And if you want our women to get lined back up, as men, we need to line up. Throw away the simpish ways. Throw away the trickish ways. Stand for something. Or fall for anything. Keep falling for this crap because you won't stand. I know it's not fashionable to have a backbone, but stand. And stand firm. If you know it's right, you ain't got to broadcast it, but just stand for it. Even if it's quietly. Stand for it. You want to get I know you want women, and I know you want an abundance of women. But I'm going to say an abundance of women ain't going to do you no good anyway. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. You want a quality woman? It's not about taking her and making her run through the ringer. But you remember this. The woman was put here to be a helpmate Now, if you don't believe that, I'm not talking to you. You want to believe in something else? Like I said, I ain't knocking you. I'm talking to the ones that believe, men and women, that believe that the man is the head and the woman is the backbone. They both have two different functions. They're both equally as important. A woman is supposed to magnify her man, and a man is supposed to enhance his woman. But she needs to help him get where he's going, and he in turn needs to not forsake her and enhance her for helping him get where he's going. Shame on you if you're a man and a woman helps you get where you're going and you want to drop her off. No way. And shame on you as a woman if you think that a man is put here for you and he's supposed to serve and worship you, and then he's supposed to get dropped off when you finish with him. They're both wrong. A man and a woman need each other. And if you have short-term intentions with each other, communicate that. And yeah, you might communicate that you have short-term intentions with somebody and they might not go for it. Then let them go. Find someone that's with your short-term projections, because it might work out for them. But make sure that it's working out for both of you. And don't do it in such a way where you're going to resent each other towards the end. The resentment comes from the surprise. I did not know that you had short-term plans for me when I had long-term plans. You allowed me to think long-term, and you had no long-term thoughts for me. My ex used to say, I can't wait to get the house for me and the kids. She would say stuff like that often. And I'll be like, you say that often. How come you don't say, I can't wait for all of us to have a house? And the reality was, she said, I think you're overlooking it. No, you say what you mean. Your subconscious will come out. Pay attention. The intentions of somebody will come out if you just pay attention. And I told her, I said, you're always talking about getting a house and saving up money for you and the kids. You never say anything about me. That's because she never had any long-term intentions with me. I was a sponsor to help her get where she was going. I was playing football at Ohio State, and everybody that played and started in the backfield at Ohio State went to the NFL. And so she saw me as an eventual meal ticket. When it didn't look like I was going to the NFL, all of her interest and all of her energy changed towards me. And it is the result of why we're here where we are. It is a result, is why I went through what I went through with our child. Or what I didn't go through. Because some people, they only see the value in you because of the utilization of you. But when you're it's okay to be used. There's nothing wrong with being used. It's something wrong with being useless. You want to be useful. But when you are being used properly, you benefit from it. Think about that. If you have a unique skill set and a job hires you, they're hiring you to use you for your unique skill set. But it's worthy to be used if you agree to what they're going to give you in exchange for your usefulness. So knowing your own truest value, you get to dictate your price. Now, if you overinflate yourself like a delusional woman can in this society, your asking price can be too much for what you're offering. If a woman is beautiful from head to toe and her evaluation of herself is my truest value is myself, that's not making you any different. You may look uniquely beautiful, but let's not pretend we live in a world where there is no other beautiful women. They may not be beautiful as you, but a man will settle for a woman that's less beautiful than you, that's got something she brings to the table that can magnify him. Your beauty can only magnify a man if he has the clout to showcase your beauty. And a lot of men that are successful don't have clout. So your beauty could only be serving just to the appeasement of his eyes. But if he can't showcase you to get deals and things of that nature, listen, Beyonce is beautiful. She even says in one of her songs, take me just to compliment the deal. But Jay-Z had business that gave him a platform to showcase her beauty, to help him get those deals. And if you look, Jay-Z was successful without Beyonce, but he took off when he got with Beyonce. And I'm not saying Beyonce did something tangible to make him take off, but her presence was served a purpose because he had platforms where her presence could shine. So he might have went out there and he might have talked and got those deals, but her presence got him to the tables because there was a different attraction to her because of who she was and what she did and her appeal. He couldn't appeal to those types of people without her. So we're not going to sit here and talk about how men are more valuable than women are more valuable than men. Their values are different. Stop this competition about who's more important, a man or a woman. No, we are entered. Listen, this is a man. See these? These represent gaps and holes. Here's a woman. These represent gaps and holes. Without each other, they are good. But together, they're complete. And completion is more formidable than this. I can make millions by myself, but with the right person, could take me to billions. And I'm not saying every relationship is going to take you to a billion, but your potential and your capability and your path will determine that, and who you link up with on your path will determine how high you get to your potential. My potential might not be a billion, but whatever my potential is going to be dictated by who I link with. Your company that you keep is going to dictate what happens to you. If I hang with a whole bunch of people who have troubles and who gets in trouble, I'll eventually find myself in trouble. But if I hang around with people who have money, people who have things that I desire and things that I want, or whatever the case may be, as a default, I am going to attract the same types of things. And if I'm by myself, my thinking and my thinking alone will determine what happens. But it's not good for man to be alone. We're social beings. And even if you're a loner, you still need people. And who could you need more than a wife? So fellas, I'm telling you, tricking and simping is going to cost you every time. You will lose every time from tricking and simping, unless there is an understanding for the tricking and the simping, and the little that woman who means you nothing brings. You can utilize the little that she brings to elevate you to levels that you can't. Listen, this is why men will pay an escort to go to important functions with them, because they know how important it is to have someone beautiful on their arms. I'm not saying that beauty gets you nothing, but I'm just telling you that there has to be special platforms for you to get the utilization of that beauty. You can't just be a regular everyday person with that beauty. That'll just make you a target of some sort. Especially if you're trying to showcase it. Especially if you're trying to showcase it in meaningless ways, make you a target. If you just showcasing your girl around a bunch of your bros and stuff like that, might make her a target to one of them bros to sleep with your girl, get with your girl. I know a dude who has a friend, and his friend is really close to his wife. You don't think that's threatening? Don't nobody get that close to my wife as a man. Man, I won't leave you in my house alone with my wife. And it ain't got nothing to do with trust. I'm not going to put any one of you in that presumptuous situation because I don't want to black out. I don't want to black out because I'm susceptible to say or do something that could change lives, including mine. And given the right opportunity, I'll take it there. Now, I'd like to think that I would do the right thing in a dark situation. But if it's dark, I can't see. So why would I turn the lights off and keep the lights on? Let me close out by saying, fellas, stop trying to pressure women to be accountable. Women are going to have to make women accountable. Women are going to have to separate themselves from the gold diggers, the hood rats, and the scoundrels. Women are going to have to do that their own selves. You can't make women start to be accountable. And I see that in the manosphere. We're trying to remind women that they're not accountable and that they should be accountable. No. Stop trying to make women do something that they are doing. And understand you hold the keys to what you allow them to do. You don't have to control them and rule over them and lord them or whatever the case may be. But I'm just telling you, in this sense of gold diggers or whatever the case may be, you would change the behavior of gold diggers if you made men that are simps and that are tricks accountable. And you made it bad for them to be simps, and you made it bad for them to be tricks. And when men stop being simps and when men stop being tricks, then the women wouldn't be able to be easy, fly by night, skip class gold diggers. They'd have to, whether they wanted to or not, they want to accomplish that. That's not going to change them from wanting the things that gold diggers want, but it would change their approach. It would change their approach in terms of how they go about it. They wouldn't be able to have the luxury to skip steps. They'd have to prove to a man why they're different than another woman. But if you keep on allowing yourself to be mesmerized by a woman's beauty, she's going to take however much rope you give her, she's going to take it. And nobody's telling you to be cruel to our women. You can't. They're precious. We need them. Gosh, we need them. They serve a long-term purpose, an unabandoned purpose, meaning that even in fulfillment of their purpose, they are still not to be abandoned. These are true treasures, but you gotta put women in situations where they have to be queens. And a woman telling you she's a queen, and you can't be a queen unless you have a kingdom. And you can't have a kingdom unless you have a king. No one starts a kingdom with a queen. A queen inherits the throne because the king is gone. So there can only be a kingdom with a king, and only a king can make a woman a queen. And so when women are talking about like being a passenger princess, being a pillow princess, being a princess, like princesses don't do anything. That's what you want? You want somebody that their presence is all you're getting? Nah. So let me tell you something. It's some fine women that'll do nothing. And then there's some fine women that'll do something. Identify the ones that are going to do something. And if you can't identify somebody that's fine, that'll do something, then find somebody who's just fine that'll do something. Find someone that's good looking that'll do something. Find someone that's okay looking that takes care of themselves to do something. It's going to mean more for you as a man to have someone who looks okay, that know that their value and what separates them from other women is what their application is. That's going to be more valuable to you than that fine woman who does nothing. Matter of fact, if she's fine, and she's single, that's a red flag right there if she is of age to be married. If a woman is fine, and she's 25 and older, that's a red flag if she's single. Sorry. Sorry. And if she wants to be single, that's another red flag. The most precious years of a woman's life is 21 to 29. That's her opportunity to secure the best possible man that she is to secure. And the bad deal that she took from the powers that be in society is believing that those best years should be wasted on hot girl summers and running up the mileage and gaining experiences. Experiences don't look good on women. They don't look good on men. If a woman's got a whole bunch of scrapes and cuts on her, that's disgusting. If a man has a whole bunch of scrapes and cuts on him, that's honorable. He's been through something. That's because value is acquired by men. Value is not acquired by women. Women don't have to do anything to be valuable. They're valuable the moment that they become legal at 18. I just don't suggest that women 18, fellas, I don't suggest you have anything serious with a woman who's 18, 19, 20 years old, because that is a critical moment in real life for her to find out what she can do and what her skill set's going to be, in addition to those good looks. Don't mess with them. I know they may be easy to get with or whatever the case may be, but if a woman is 19, 18, 20 years old, best thing you could be to them is a righteous mentor. Keep your hands off of them. Don't touch them. They're impressionable. Gosh, their bodies, woo, wonderful. Treat them like your daughters. Righteous daughters. I ain't talking about the daughters that, some of you mess with and all of this. I'm talking about treat them like your daughters. I have daughters. I don't touch my daughters' bodies in certain places. I touch them on their back. I touch them on their stomach. I kiss them on the cheek. I don't touch their butts. I don't touch their chest. I don't touch their vaginas. I don't do that stuff. I don't look at it. I don't want them naked around me. You understand? It's just the way that you should treat, and you should treat these 18, 19. You should treat every woman up to the age of 21 that way. I know 18 is legal, but they still developing, fellas. Everybody from 0 to 20, treat them like babies. Delicate. Don't touch them. Don't touch them. And I really and truthfully, I'd even wonder why you would want to mentor an 18, 19, and 20-year-old woman. If you want to mentor a 20-year-old woman, that's fine. But at least 18, 19, just don't. And I'm not trying to keep moving the needle down, but what I'm just saying is, even at a 20-year-old, if you want to mentor her, 20 years old, maybe you see something good in her or whatever the case may be. Maybe you see her as a possible wife or whatever the case may be. Look, man, just respectfully. Best thing you can do is mentor her like a father figure, or mentor her like a brother or something, or a big brother or something like that. Then if she's 21 and you see the development or whatever the case may be you want to talk to, I know people are going to disagree with that, but that's creepy or whatever the case may be. No, I'm not telling you to do that with an 18 and 19-year-old. I'm telling you to do that with a 20-year-old. 20 is the benchmark. But I wouldn't recommend messing with her physically at 20. Want to mess with her physically at 21? I don't care what nobody say. Do it. But make sure she knows what she wants, man. I'm telling you, because if she don't know what she wants, she gonna flip on you. Don't let her flip on you. She needs that time to develop, man. So don't do anything to inhibit her development. Stop creating these platforms for women to be gold diggers, for women to skip class and to skip steps. Don't allow that to happen. Make a woman And the second thing, fellas, stop looking for women. Don't chase women. The Bible tells you don't chase women. It's not good to chase women. Don't allow them to sap that energy and strength from you. Don't chase them. But if you do the things that you're supposed, once you create your value, fellas, it's going to be a magnet for women. And then you get to vet them. See, when you go and approach the women, they get to dictate the terms. But when a woman comes to you, you get to dictate the terms. So what situation do you want? Do you want to be the one that dictate the terms and the conditions? Or do you want to be dictated the terms and the conditions? And I think I know the answer, and you know the answer too. So if you want a woman to be down with your program, you want a woman to follow you, you want a woman to be loyal to you, you want a woman to be faithful to you, I promise you, you create the value, you will attract them like honey attracts flies. And when you got options, you have a better chance of higher standards. You can't tell a woman that you're going after what she's going to do and what she's not going to do. But you don't have to flex on a woman that comes to you and you lay out what you'd like her to do and what you'd like her not to do. It's simple. You accept these terms and we do it, or you don't accept these terms and you can go. You know, disrespect. This is what I'm looking for. Well, I can't do that. Well, this is what I've evaluated as what I need. You don't really need that. No, what you're not going to do is tell me what I don't need. I think I know myself well enough to know what I need. I built myself up to this point. I know exactly what I need. If you can't provide me what you need, if you can't provide me what I need, I respect that. I don't want to waste your time. There is the door. And I wish you the best. But a woman that really, really wants to be with you is going to find ways to create value for you and create herself to be an asset for you and not a liability. And then you get to lay out, hey, listen, this is what I'm looking for. And even if what you're looking for, she says, oh, wow, I don't know about all of that. She'll think about you and say, but you're worth it. And she'll give it to you. Because if you can take her where she wants to go, and she's a good woman, that's where she wants to go. But if you ask her to do something she don't want to do, she has every right to say, I don't want to do that. Because remember, she elects you. Even though she comes to you, she's still, her coming to you is saying, I'm electing you. Do you accept me and give me access to a relationship with you? And at that particular point, you don't have any options. You're going to say yes. She's the finest thing that has come to you. So I'm not letting that opportunity go. But when you're used to getting a lot of opportunities, you can be a little picky. Guys that go on the road and have girls knocking on their hotel rooms and stuff like that, they have 10s, 9s, 8s, 7s, 6s, 5s, 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1s trying to get at them. They would never, under those circumstances, take 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. They would only look at you if you're 8 or above. And of whom they consider 8s, 9s, and 10s, the next thing they're looking for is their preferences. And who's going to meet those preferences? Or how many of them are going to meet those preferences? So if a guy says, hey, look, I want to be with 2 or 3 different women, a lot of those women might say, I'm not with that. But some of them will say, hey, look, I'm willing to deal with that. So don't ever sacrifice what it is that you truly want unless you're trying to hurt people. Because even if you're the guy that wants 2 or 3 women or whatever the case may be, if you're righteous and you're sound and you treat them with decency and respect and love and you help them get what they want out of the deal, what's wrong with that? I don't care what society says. Well, you only do this and you only marry one person. Who made that rule? And who was it against? What was it trying to prohibit and stop? Think about that. So I'm not here to tell you what your preference should be, but if you know who you are, then you know what you need and you know what you don't need. And if you create enough value, you won't have to chase the things that you want. The things that you want will chase you. I'm out.